All right. Now that we have our feed created, let's talk about getting access to that feed to your listeners. So there's a few different ways to do that. One of the simplest way is to just copy and paste what we call the universal link. And that's going to be sent to people. Everyone shares the link, and you could pass it around to everyone that you want to listen to this private feed. It's a one-click add to a podcast app from there. So that's the simplest way, this universal link. What I'm going to do is show you how to add them in the app directly as individual listeners. And what that means is you're able to not only share a link with them to one-click add to a podcast app, but if they leave your program, or if they, stop paying you for your membership, you might want to block their access after that point. You can do that by adding them as individual listeners rather than that universal link. So I'm going to go ahead and click add listeners here, and I'll just add myself. You can drop 1,000 email addresses at a time. You can add more than 1,000 if you'd like, but just do them in batches of 1,000. And we're going to send out an introductory email that says, hey, you're looking at this from your phone. Good. Click to start listening. Simple instructions. You can customize that text if you want. You can preview the email as well. But I'm going to go ahead and add myself using my Gmail address. And I've now been invited to this feed, enabled as a listener, and you'll start seeing downloads go up as I subscribe and listen in podcast apps. So let me go over to my inbox and check the email. So it looks like this, your audio access example feed, and that little preview text that you saw. So I'm going to go ahead and click start listening, which opens up a page where I get to choose which podcast app I'd like to use to subscribe with. And, Apple's fine on Mac computers and iPhones. If the app's installed, it'll open up the app and say, do you want to subscribe to this feed? And they just have to hit yes. I'll do Google just because this is easy to show in the browser. And clicking that opens up Google Podcasts. I can hit subscribe. They don't have to paste anything. It's already added in the little box for them, their unique link to that feed. So once Google picks up on the feed, adds it to the website, it'll show the episodes, the welcome episode at the top, simple audio, and the example following. So episodes 1, 2, and 3 in order, ready to go in this instant feed that I used here. So if I hit play, I've now listened to this episode, and I should see, if I refresh, the download count go up for me. So I'm now an individual listener. I have a different link than if I added another listener. I do have one download for that first episode. And yeah, so that's the manual process for adding listeners, just dropping a list of email addresses. Now, of course, if you're going to be using a private feed as an opt-in or as a supplement to a paid product, something like that, you'd want to automate this process. So you don't have to come in and click add listeners every time you want to add people. So what we've done is built out Zapier integrations, which I can show here an example. So on our website, on helloaudio.fm, we have a form to subscribe to one of our feeds, a private feed. And we take that email address from the opt-in form on our website, which is built on Webflow, and then add them to a feed inside Hello Audio. And then what we do inside this Zapier step, what it looks like, it's a simple, which feed do you want? What's their email address, which we get from the Webflow form in step 1, and then send out the email. And we can customize the email if we want. So that's the same process as clicking add listener, dropping the email address, but it's doing it automatically behind the scenes without you even doing anything after you set up this Zap. And of course, this is meant to build our email list. So we have a next step following that Hello Audio step, which adds them to ActiveCampaign. So they become signed up to our newsletter and our email list. So that's how we use a private feed as an opt-in and a lead gen. So that's the adding of somebody, and we can talk about, like I said, if they leave a membership, maybe you want to block them, you can go ahead and turn off their access. You can also do this using Zapier to automate it. And then that person won't be able to listen. They'll get an error. Something went wrong. And then maybe they join again. You can turn their access back on, and it'll work again from there. So this is how you manage listeners. This is how you manage contacts and add them to private feeds, control access, and a little tip about Zapier as you automate all this. So I hope that was helpful. That's adding listeners to your private feed. If you have any questions, as before, you can click the help chat in the bottom of our website and let us know how we can help from there. Take care.